With the Chicago Bulls drafting Matas Bucilis today at number 11 in the NBA draft, it came with a press conference afterwards by Arturas Karnisovas, one in which some details that we were kind of waiting to hear have been released. We're going to talk about it all and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host here, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into the content for today. So, after the Bulls drafted Matas Bucilis, which did get them a draft grade of B+, which we'll talk about more in full on tomorrow's daily episode. This is the last nightly episode I should be dropping today. But we got a press conference from Arturas Karnisovas in which he was asked, of course, about that draft selection, and he mentioned how he was surprised that Matas Bucilis was there at number 11 for the Chicago Bulls. And while Arturas has said similar things basically about every player that he's drafted since he's been running the Chicago Bulls, this one felt legitimate. Felt legitimate for a few different reasons. Matas Bucilis was projected as going in the top 5 throughout most of this pre-draft process. And, with the fluidity all throughout the draft, it went up and down, things like that. He ends up falling down to number 11 for the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls get a very dynamic forward in there with tons of upside as well that I think could help the Bulls with the star level impact later on down the road, having the kind of ceiling of that if he can maximize on his potential. But in this press conference, Arturas was asked other questions in which he talked about injuries. For example, we got injury updates in regards to both Zach LaVine and Patrick Williams and even Lonzo Ball. As far as Zach LaVine's cleared. He's ready to go. No real questions there. Nothing that Arturas said that was either kind of eye-raising or anything. We know that Zach LaVine, even before the season ended, said he was at about 80. I think it was 80 or 90%. He had mentioned that he was at that time. It all makes sense. Get to move on from that. It's cool. But then Patrick Williams. The question with Patrick Williams came about, and Arturas says this. He thinks that Patrick Williams will be ready by training camp. That is a little bit concerning. Keep in mind, Patrick Williams had a very weird injury at the end of the season as far as a bone edema, which is basically something in the bone marrow itself. They're basically an air bubble to kind of dumb it down. It's quite a bit of dumbing down by calling it that, but that's basically what it is. And that, when asked if he thinks that he's going to be ready by the start of the year, he says, I think so. He's planning to be ready for training camp. That's a little bit concerning. I don't want to, make it too much, but it is a little bit concerning that you hear that. And then when asked about Lonzo Ball, that is where he said that Lonzo Ball is fully cleared. Now, we've heard earlier in this offseason that he was cleared for all basketball activities, which was not 5-on-5, not actually cleared to return to the court, but cleared to do all rehab-type basketball activities. Now, Arturas could very well be saying the same thing in regards to this, but when it comes down to it, what if he's not? What if this is something more serious or a larger step up for him into where he is ready to do 5-on-5? I go off what we hear, right? And that's usually what it comes down to. I go off the information that we have available. I try not to do too much speculation. If I do, I make sure that I present that it's my thoughts rather than me reporting on something. But to hear that Lonzo Ball is cleared, maybe bring some hope for people that are still asking and wondering if Lonzo Ball is going to be part of the plans for the Chicago Bulls. Now, I'll say this. Even if he is cleared, he's still going to be on a minutes restriction. Nobody's going to miss that much time over 2 years removed from basketball and not be on a heavy minutes restriction, maybe even be on a back-to-back restriction, which I still think is likely for Lonzo Ball in that case. But overall, I do think that it is a positive sign as well. That's kind of the most positive we've heard Arturas really be. Most of our good updates come from Billy Donovan just being honest when it comes to Lonzo Ball. But Arturas saying that he is cleared, I don't know if that was a misspeak. Maybe that is still referring to, I want to be clear, could very well still be referring to him cleared for basketball activities as far as rehab activities, not getting back on the court on 5-on-5. But if it does mean something different, if it does mean that Lonzo Ball is cleared fully for basketball activities, this is a big sign and maybe pointing towards him making that return. Now, are the Bulls still going to be betting on him to be a large part of anything? I doubt it, but we'll see. We'll see. We got a couple of updates as well. He did say that Torrey Craig, they have not been informed officially whether Torrey Craig is picking up his option or not. There's an update on that one. He said that Lonzo is, exact quote is, cleared to pretty much do everything on the floor. So, we'll see. He does expect him to continue rehabbing, then playing later this summer. So maybe that playing later this summer more so means, again, that he's not cleared for the 5-on-5. We'll see. But he also said that we could hear from him in a couple of weeks, right? Or it says it's hard to predict what will look like in a week or two. So it seems like there's still adjustments coming to the roster as well. But we'll dive more into that tomorrow morning on the full daily episode. So make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. As a matter of fact, we are the only true daily podcast here on YouTube for the Chicago Bulls. We drop episodes 7 days a week and have been doing so for basically 3 years in a row. So make sure you guys stay in tune with us there. You can follow us at Bull Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullcentralpod@gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We're the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. That's thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See red if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.